There is a common misconception, a popular belief that has caused more harm than good for people living with diabetes, the idea that all fruit is harmless and beneficial. You may be thinking, but doctor, fruit is natural and full of vitamins. How could it be a problem? It is precisely this belief, this trap, that leads many to consume fruit unwittingly and without realizing it, end up triggering their glucose levels without warning, turning something that should be healthy into a real silent villain for their diabetes. Today, I want to reveal to you the 7 fruits that, in my long experience in my practice, I have repeatedly seen sabotage the glycemic control of my patients, even those who tried their best to follow all other recommendations. Get ready for a frank and revealing conversation that could completely change the way you look at your diet, and most importantly, give you the knowledge to regain control over your glucose, your energy, and your peace of mind. It's not about deprivation, but about strategic knowledge. You'll discover why some fruits, despite their innocent appearance, act as real sugar triggers in your body, and how to make smarter choices that protect your health. Over decades in my practice, I've seen the despair in the eyes of many patients who, even though they strictly followed their medications and general guidelines, were unable to stabilize their glucose levels. They felt lost, frustrated, and many ended up demotivated, thinking it was their fault or that diabetes was a lost battle. And in many of these cases, the silent culprit was there, disguised as healthy food, the inappropriate consumption of certain fruits. Diabetes is not a static disease. It reacts strongly to what you put into your body. It's like having a race car. You can't fill it with just any fuel and expect it to perform well. You need the right fuel in the right amount. Similarly, your body with diabetes needs the right information about which fuels are your allies and which are your saboteurs, even if they seem harmless. Let's cut to the chase and reveal the first fruit on the list, which I call the concentrated bomb. It's loved by many, easy to find, and seems to be the epitome of quick energy. I'm talking about grapes. Yes, those small, juicy little balls. The problem with grapes isn't their antioxidant richness, which is great, by the way, but their fructose density. In a small serving of grapes, say a handful of 10 to 12 grapes, you already have a significant amount of carbohydrates and natural sugars. Fructose, although natural, needs to be metabolized by the liver, and in large amounts it can overload it, contributing to insulin resistance and raising triglyceride levels. Imagine your liver as a factory. When you eat sugar, especially excess fructose, it's like the factory conveyor belt gets clogged up. The liver tries to process it, but with the excess, some of that fructose turns into fat, which can accumulate in the liver and be released into the bloodstream, directly impacting glucose control and cardiovascular health. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation showed that high fructose consumption is directly linked to increased fat production in the liver and insulin resistance. It's not about banning grapes from your life forever, but understanding that if you have diabetes, grapes are a fruit to be consumed in extreme moderation, and perhaps in combination with something that slows down their absorption, such as some oil seeds. I remember Anna, a 68-year-old woman who loved to eat grapes as a snack. She would say to me, "Doctor, I eat fruit instead of cookies. I think I'm doing the right thing." But her glucose levels in the morning were always high. Upon investigating her diet, I discovered that she ate a bowl full of grapes every night. When we replaced the grapes with a smaller handful of low-sugar fruits and added some almonds, her fasting glucose began to stabilize within a matter of weeks. She was surprised and said, "I never imagined that something so natural could be so bad for me." Anna's story is a vivid reminder that quantity and type make all the difference. If this first revelation about grapes has already made you rethink your choices, know that we are just beginning to unlock the secrets of effective glycemic control. This kind of knowledge, which comes from practical experience and science, is what truly empowers you to take control of your health. If you feel that this conversation is opening your eyes and giving you valuable tools, I invite you to join this community that seeks more knowledge and quality of life. Like this video right now, because that helps us bring this message to more people who need it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next steps toward a healthier and more controlled life. It's a simple gesture that makes a big difference. The second fruit that deserves our attention is what I call the hidden sweet. It is often used in juices and smoothies and is often seen as a healthy option to quench your thirst. I am referring to mangoes. Mangoes, especially ripe ones, are incredibly rich in natural sugars, mainly fructose and sucrose, and have a high glycemic index. The glycemic index, GI, is a measure of how quickly a food raises blood sugar. Foods with a high GI cause rapid spikes, and that's what we want to avoid at all costs in diabetes. Imagine your pancreas as a tireless worker that produces insulin. When you eat a food with a high glycemic index like mango, it's like a flood of sugar hitting your bloodstream all at once. The pancreas has to work frantically to release a large amount of insulin quickly to try to handle this spike. Over time, this constant overload can lead to exhaustion of the beta cells in the pancreas, which are responsible for producing insulin, worsening the condition of diabetes. A study published in Diabetes Care highlighted that glycemic control is significantly impaired by diets with a high glycemic load, and high GI fruits such as mangoes can contribute to this. Mangoes are often consumed in the form of juice, which is even worse for people with diabetes. When you squeeze the fruit, you remove much of the fiber, which is responsible for slowing down sugar absorption. Without fiber, sugar is absorbed even more quickly, causing an even higher glycemic spike. If you like mango, it is best to consume a small portion, perhaps a quarter of a medium mango, preferably in its solid form, and combined with protein or healthy fats to mitigate the impact. I remember Pedro, a young adult with type 2 diabetes who came to me because, despite exercise and medication, his levels were not improving. He told me that he loved mango juice and drank large glasses of it every day, thinking it was natural and harmless. We explained the concept of the glycemic index and the importance of fiber. When he switched from mango juice to water and a small serving of low GI fruits, such as strawberries or blackberries, his test results began to show a noticeable improvement. He said, "Doctor, I had no idea that my healthy juice was what was hurting me. Now I understand why my energy would crash after meals." Pedro's experience shows how treacherous the hidden sugar in fruit can be. Your journey with diabetes doesn't have to be a lonely one, and I'm here to be your guide, sharing the knowledge I see working in my practice every day. Every piece of information you absorb is a step toward control and freedom. I know it can be challenging to change old habits and beliefs, but the reward is a life with more energy and fewer worries. If this conversation is helping you see things in a new light, and if you have any questions or experiences to share about your food choices, please let me know in the comments below. Which fruit did you think was harmless and are now rethinking? Your participation enriches our community and helps me understand what is most relevant to you. Let's do this together. The third fruit that deserves extra attention is what I call the tropical trap. It is synonymous with sunny paradises and is a common ingredient in many desserts and refreshing drinks. I'm talking about pineapple. Pineapple, like mango, has a high natural sugar content and, consequently, a high glycemic index. A medium slice of pineapple can have as many carbohydrates as a serving of bread, and the way your body processes these sugars can be quite aggressive for people with diabetes. The impact of pineapple on blood sugar is rapid and significant. When we consume pineapple, especially the juice, the fructose and sucrose it contains are quickly absorbed, flooding the bloodstream with glucose. For diabetics, this means an immediate spike that requires a high and rapid insulin response from the pancreas, further overloading an organ that is already compromised. The enzyme bromelain, found in pineapple, although it has anti-inflammatory benefits, is not enough to mitigate the glycemic impact. A study published in the journal Nutrients on the impact of different fruits on blood sugar levels in diabetics pointed to pineapple as a fruit with a high glycemic load that should be consumed with great caution. As with mango, the problem is exacerbated when pineapple is consumed in juice form. Without fiber, sugar absorption is even faster, turning a refreshing drink into a real poison for glycemic control. If you really enjoy pineapple, the key is extreme moderation. Opt for a very small portion, perhaps a thin slice, and always combine it with a source of protein or healthy fat to slow down sugar absorption. Thinking of a small piece as a condiment rather than a meal of fruit is a good strategy. I remember Clara, a young woman with diabetes who loved fruit salad with lots of pineapple and melon. She felt tired and constantly thirsty, even with her medication. I explained to her about the glycemic index of pineapple and melon and how they were sabotaging her efforts. I suggested she focus on fruits such as berries, avocado, and some green apples. Within a few weeks, her symptoms decreased dramatically, and her test results showed significant improvement. She commented, "I thought fruit salad was the pinnacle of healthy eating. Now I see that even what's natural needs special attention when you have diabetes." Clara's story reinforces the idea that knowledge is your greatest weapon. The fourth fruit we need to discuss, and one that many consider harmless, is the desert trap. It's sweet, dry, and perfect for quick snacks or sweetening recipes. I'm talking about dates. Although they are a natural source of energy and fiber, dates are extremely concentrated in sugars. A single date can contain about 16 grams of sugar, and because they are small, it is very easy to eat several without realizing it, turning a seemingly innocent snack into a real glucose bomb. The problem with dates lies in their calorie and sugar density. Since the water has been removed during the drying process, the sugars are much more concentrated. This means that by volume, you consume much more sugar than if you ate the fresh fruit. For those with diabetes, this translates into a rapid and significant increase in blood glucose levels, which requires extra effort from the pancreas. Studies on dried fruits and their impact on blood sugar, such as those found in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, consistently show that, although rich in nutrients, dried fruits should be consumed with extreme caution by diabetics due to their high concentration of sugars. It's like comparing a glass of water to a glass of syrup. Both come from a natural source, but syrup is a super concentrated version. Dates are the syrup of the fruit. If you enjoy dates, moderation is the watchword. Consider eating no more than 1 or 2, and always in combination with a source of protein, such as some nuts, to help mitigate the glucose spike. I remember a patient, Mr. Miguel, who always brought dates with him for snacks. He believed he was making a healthy choice because they were dried fruit. His sugar levels were always high, and he couldn't understand why. When we adjusted his date intake to 1 or 2 rather than a handful, his glucose levels began to stabilize. He said, "I never imagined that something so small could have such a big impact. I was eating them like candy." Miguel's story highlights the danger of unthinking portion sizes. This conversation, which may seem full of don'ts, is really about freedom. Freedom to understand what really affects your body and make smarter decisions without the weight of guilt or frustration. I'm here to give you the tools you need to live with more control and fewer worries. If you're realizing the real impact of fruit on your glucose and want to continue deepening your knowledge to live a fuller life with diabetes, I have something important for you. The complexity of managing diabetes can be daunting. There is so much information, so many details, and every body reacts differently. That's why, throughout my career, I've realized that real transformation happens when knowledge is translated into a clear and practical plan. Many of my patients, even after understanding everything about food and its impact, still ask me, "Doctor, that's all great, but how do I put all these pieces together? How do I organize this into my routine? Isn't there an easier, more integrated way to make all this work?" And the answer is, yes, there is. After years of evaluating different approaches, I can say with confidence that a comprehensive, integrated solution is the most effective way forward. This ideal solution should follow a few key principles. It needs to be based on solid scientific evidence, ensuring that each component works synergistically to optimize glycemic control, reduce inflammation, and strengthen your body. It needs to offer the convenience that your busy life demands without requiring you to become a nutrition expert overnight. And above all, it needs to be safe and adaptable, recognizing that each individual is unique. That's why I want to guide you to an approach that I have personally evaluated and trust, a protocol that I recommend to many of my patients. It condenses the benefits of what we discussed today and other crucial elements into a format that simplifies your journey and gives you the confidence that you are making the right choices. You can find more information about this solution, which I call a reliable shortcut to your well-being, by clicking on the link in the description of this video and also in the first pinned comment. It's a step that can save you a lot of trial and error, guiding you toward more effective and peaceful diabetes management. The fifth fruit on the list of those that can spike your glucose without warning is what I call the tasty disguise. It's juicy, refreshing, and a summer classic, but for diabetics, caution is needed. I'm talking about melon. Melon, especially varieties such as cantaloupe and honeydew melon, has a considerably high glycemic index, similar to that of white bread. Although it is mostly water, the concentration of natural sugars in its flesh is enough to cause a rapid spike in glucose levels. Like other high GI fruits, melon is quickly digested and its sugars are absorbed into the bloodstream in a matter of minutes. For a pancreas that is already struggling to produce or use insulin efficiently, this sudden load of glucose is quite a challenge. Frequent consumption of melon in large quantities can lead to a glycemic roller coaster with peaks and troughs that contribute to fatigue, excessive thirst, and, in the long term, complications from diabetes. The American Diabetes Association categorizes melon as a fruit to be consumed in moderation due to its carbohydrate content. It's like trying to empty a swimming pool with a small bucket, but someone is pouring water in at high speed without stopping. Your body tries to empty the sugar from your blood, but the speed at which the sugar enters is so great that it cannot keep up. If you are a fan of melon, I suggest consuming it in very small portions and, if possible, always accompanied by a source of fiber, protein, or healthy fat, such as a handful of nuts, to slow down sugar absorption. I remember a patient, Mr. Fernandez, who confided in me that he felt very lethargic after lunch. He always finished his meal with a large slice of melon, thinking it was a light and healthy option. By limiting melon to a minimal serving or replacing it with low GI fruits, his energy after meals improved dramatically. He said, "Doctor, I no longer have that post-lunch sleepiness. I thought it was tiredness from work, but it was the melon knocking me out." This is a powerful lesson about what seems innocent but has a real impact. The sixth fruit on our list is what I call the camouflage giant. It's a fruit that has an imposing appearance and a striking flavor, but its impact on glucose is often underestimated. I'm talking about the banana. Yes, the banana, especially the ripe banana, is one of the fruits with the highest carbohydrate content and, consequently, a higher glycemic index. A medium banana can contain about 27 grams of carbohydrates, most of which are sugars. Ripe bananas are quickly digested, releasing their sugars rapidly into the bloodstream. For people with diabetes, this can lead to a spike in glucose that is difficult to control. It is important to note that the ripeness of a banana influences its glycemic index. The riper it is, the more starch has been converted into sugar and the greater the impact on blood sugar. Green bananas, on the other hand, have more resistant starch, which is digested more slowly and may have a more moderate effect. A study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition on fruit consumption and diabetes highlighted that ripe bananas can have a similar glycemic impact to simple sweets. For diabetics, eating a ripe banana on its own is like ingesting a concentrated dose of sugar. If bananas are an important part of your diet, it is recommended to opt for less ripe bananas, which have more resistant starch and less free sugar. In addition, eat a smaller portion and always combine it with a source of protein, such as unsweetened plain yogurt, or healthy fat, such as whole peanut butter, to mitigate the impact on blood sugar. I remember a retired teacher, Mr. Roberto, who had a habit of eating a ripe banana for breakfast to have energy. He complained of tremors and sweating in the middle of the morning, symptoms of reactive hypoglycemia after a sugar spike. When we replaced the ripe banana with a less ripe one and added a handful of nuts, his symptoms disappeared and his glucose stabilized. He said, "Doctor, I thought bananas were pure health. Now I see that even fruit needs to be educated for people with diabetes. Roberto's story illustrates the importance of choosing the right ripeness and combination. Finally, the seventh and last fruit on our list is a true, refreshing illusion. It is synonymous with hydration and lightness, but for those with diabetes, it can be a trap. I'm talking about watermelon. Like cantaloupe, watermelon has a remarkably high glycemic index, comparable to that of some sweets and cookies. Although it is mostly composed of water, its red sweet flesh concentrates sugars that are quickly absorbed by the body. A large slice of watermelon can quickly raise your glucose levels. The ease with which watermelon is consumed due to its high water content often leads people to eat larger portions than they should, further intensifying the impact on blood sugar. For diabetics, this rapid sugar load is a challenge for the pancreas, which needs to release a lot of insulin at once. In the long term, this overload can contribute to the exhaustion of insulin-producing cells and the progression of insulin resistance. Articles in nutrition and diabetes journals often warn against moderate consumption of high GI fruits such as watermelon. It's like drinking a glass of sugar water instead of plain water. Your thirst is quenched, but the impact on your blood sugar is significant. If you really enjoy watermelon, the key is extreme moderation in portion size. Consider a small slice and, again, pair it with a source of protein or healthy fat to slow down sugar absorption. Think of it as an occasional treat rather than a staple of your daily diet. I remember Sophia, a student who spent her days eating large slices of watermelon, thinking she was hydrating herself in a healthy way. She came to me with symptoms of uncontrolled glucose, despite her young age. When we replaced watermelon with low GI fruits and added vegetables, her sugar levels stabilized. She told me, "Doctor, I thought watermelon was synonymous with health. Who knew it was part of the problem?" Sophia's experience underscores the importance of not being fooled by the healthy appearance of certain fruits. It is absolutely crucial, and I repeat this with the responsibility of a doctor, that while this information is extremely powerful, it does not replace personalized medical advice. If you have diabetes, any pre-existing health conditions, or are taking medication, it is essential that you always consult your doctor or a nutritionist. My intention here is to empower you with knowledge so that you can make more informed decisions and discuss with your healthcare professional a meal plan that is safe and effective for you. Diabetes, my dear friend, does not have to be a sentence of painful restrictions or constant uncertainty. It is a condition that, with the right knowledge and appropriate actions, can be managed, allowing you to take back control of your life and enjoy every moment with vitality, energy, and a sense of well-being that you may not even remember having. Today, we have seen that the choice of fruit, something so seemingly simple, can have a huge impact on your glucose control and overall health. Knowledge about grapes, mangoes, pineapples, dates, melons, bananas, and watermelons, and how they can spike your glucose, is a power that is now in your hands. Use it wisely. Remember the real stories of Ana, Pedro, Clara, Mr. Miguel, Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Roberto, and Sophia. They are living proof that small changes, when made based on the right knowledge and with persistence, can bring about huge and liberating transformations in your health and your life. My mission, as a doctor who has dedicated decades to understanding and treating this condition, is to empower you with this knowledge and offer you the most effective ways to live a full, vibrant, and active life despite diabetes. I believe that information is the first but most crucial step toward change, and action is what makes that change a reality. If this video has brought you clarity, lit a flame of hope within you, and given you new breath for your journey, know that you are not alone on this path. There is a growing community of people seeking a healthier life and knowledge that really matters, and I am here, in this digital office, to guide you on that journey. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so right now so you don't miss the next step on this journey of knowledge and transformation. And if you know someone, a friend, a family member, a co-worker who is also struggling with diabetes or prediabetes, someone who would feel relieved to know that there is an easier, more effective, and more hopeful path, please share this video. Spreading this message of knowledge and hope is an act of love and can literally change someone's life. Together, we can build a healthier and happier future for many.